and welcome back to my wee channel. Today we're bidding on a 2015 Fiat 500 Lounge in ochre yellow, and as in a change we're bidding on a website called Salvage Market, which is basically like the equivalent of eBay for salvage cars, and my local salvage dealer Northern Salvage, which is based in Addiewell, puts cars on Salvage Market up for auction, much the same as Copart. So it's just a different auction, but pretty much does the same thing. So just going through the usual pictures. 54,000 miles, cars running in the picture, warning triangle on, which usually means a low battery, and just having a good look at the pictures. This one's quite unusual. It's a diesel, so a 1.3 multi-jet diesel, just quite a rare thing in a Fiat 500. And just looking there, the coolant reservoir's got coolant in it, and just slowly going through all the pictures. It's got parking sensors, which is quite unusual as well. Interior looks nice and clean. Damage to the offside front wing, possibly a bit of suspension damage. Damage to the offside front bumper. Headlight was missing there, and then in the next picture headlight was present. I don't know what's going on there, but bonnet looks undamaged. It looks fairly light damage. It's a Cat N. It's got cult style alloys, your lounge pan roof, parking sensors, a lot of optional extras on this car. I really like the look of it, and thought I would have a go at buying it. So into Auto Trader values this car round about £5,000. Using my sort of 30% rule, I would be around about the sort of £1,500 mark to buy this car. It's MOT to April 2026, past April 2025, one advisory for a corroded sump, which is Fiats are famous for that, so don't worry about that. And all the other advisories look fairly minor. It's probably had a wee bit of work done there in March 2022. All pretty run-of-the-mill Fiat 500 stuff. I'm quite confident just to go ahead and have a bid at this car. So again, just looking through the pictures, interior looks quite grubby, but no rips or tears. Bonnet, as I said, undamaged. There's that offside wing again, offside bumper, possibly some suspension damage, possibly some wheel damage. So let's get in about it and get bidding. And as I say, my sort of limit on this car is round about £1,500 plus auction fees. So it's a wee bit different for Copart. There's no the sort of razzmatazz that Copart put in there with the music and the confetti, and it's all a bit more calmer. And as you see now, it's the car sitting at £1,300. We're outbid. 35 seconds to go, and every time someone bids on the car, it adds time on to allow other bidders to then put in their counter bid. So it can run on a fair wee while. Sitting at £1,350, 20 seconds to go. We're hovering on the £1,400 bid. Just leaving it to the very last minute, and then we'll put a bid in and see how we go. So £1,400, as you see there, it added a bit of time on there, so we're the winning bidder at £1,400 plus fees. Right away outbid, so we're at £1,450. My limit is roughly about £1,500 for this car. So again, I'm running down the clock, 19 seconds, 18 seconds. Will we get this car? Let's hope so. There's something about this car I really like. I think the yellow with the alloy wheels and the sunroof and the all the options, it just looks a really nice car, and quite rare in diesel. And by the way, these cars do about 80 mile at the gallon and sort of £20 a year road tax, so they're a cheap running car, and there's some about it I really fancy. So there we are, we're in it. I broke my rule, 15.50, 15 seconds to go. Are we going to get this car? I'm kind of at my limit as to what I'm bidding on the car. Don't want to go much more on that. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, are we going to be the one? Outbid, £1,600. I'm thinking, I'm blowing my brains out on this car, what am I doing? One last bid, a bit of auction fever kicks in, we all get it, 2 seconds to go. Highest bidder, 1650. From memory, I think this is my last bid on the car. Are we getting this car? I think it's a cheap car at 1650. Auction closing. Did we get the car? Yes, we did. And there's the car back, delivered to the workshop and on the ramp. And we'll have a quick look round together and just see what's involved. So, all looks good at the back end there. There's nothing there. Although, that GB sticker you see on the near side rear, that unveiled a nice little scratch. So, someone had stuck that sticker on to hide a scratch. It'd actually been easier to touch up the scratch than it would to stick the sticker on, but hey ho. All looks good down that near side, no dings, dents, nothing to worry about. Bonnet, no chips, scratches, fading. It actually looks quite a really fresh car. Really quite happy with my purchase, and as I say, I like this yellow colour. It's quite unusual. It's not for everyone. It's a bit Marmite, but I really like it. And there's that offside front wing. So I'll need an offside front wing, offside bumper, and then once we've got the bumper stripped off, we'll see what damage is in behind there. Obviously it needs an offside headlamp or at least a lug kit. And the engine looks quite fresh. It starts and drives fine. Sounds really good. There's no radiator damage. The coolant's all there. There was oil in it. Quite a fresh looking engine bay. Nothing untoward, and I'm quite happy with this car. A quick look inside. It's quite grubby inside, but it's quite a light coloured interior. It's going to get grubby, and there's lots of options on this car. So it's got Blue and Me stereo and parking sensors and a whole load of other optional extras, which I can't really remember as I'm doing this voiceover, but it is quite a fully loaded car. Probably hopped up the options by the dealer, probably because it was at the end of the sort of pre-facelift model, so they've maybe sort of added all the options in there to make it a more sellable item before the facelifted version came out. So there you go, there's the front bumper stripped off. As you can see, there's no bumper reinforcer damage or anything to worry about. There's a bit of damage on that washer bottle, which I replace. There's a bit of a bent bracket there, which will just straighten out. That's kind of bread and butter stuff. There's no damage to the door. There's no damage to the inner wing. Definitely that strut's bent. The steering rack looks okay. Bottom arm, so probably what I'll do is I'll replace the strut and the bottom arm just to square that suspension up, and peace of mind that everything's okay. And then you'll see there, there's a bit of rust on the offside sill there, which is very common on Fiats. So I just decided to tidy that up while I'm at it. There's no point in leaving that. And I think there's a corresponding bit of rust on the near side sill as well, which is again really common on Fiats. And it would be such a shame to leave that, because the car is so clean and tidy and shiny. What's the point in leaving that bit of crusty rust? So I just decided to do tidy that up while it's on the ramp, just using the aerosols and just smarten it up and get it looking spick and span before we go on with the main repair. And there you go. There's the sill, the rusty sill, all repaired on the near side. Colour looks really good. I'm really happy with the colour match. It was the first attempt. I did it on base coat with just a 1K clear aerosol lacquer. And there's the headlight there. I've used a lug repair kit, which are readily available on eBay, and repaired the headlight and got it as good as new, ready to refit to the car. And there's that offside sill painted as well, and the colour match I think is really good. It's all sort of blended in and looking the part. I've got a bit of under seal there just where the bare metal is, and all looking good. So here we are in the booth, got a brand new wing in for it, all prepped and ready to go, and a brand new front bumper all prepped and ready to go. So we'll just continue on now, get these parts painted in yellow. Whether I have to do colour blends or not, the colour's so close, quite happy with it, so decide to paint the bumper and wing off the car, and then at a later date we'll make a decision on the colour blend. So there you go, I've blew out a shade card, and just taking, before I apply paint to the wing and the bumper, I'm just taking it outside into the daylight and just checking the colour. Yellow's a kind of funny colour, certain angles, and to me it looks a bit light in this sort of video, but there you go. To the bonnet, is it? I don't know. It's not a million miles away. There to the door, it almost looks bang on. So I'm going to go with it, and if at the end of the day we need to blend onto that offside front door, we'll keep some paint back and we'll do that. So here we are back in the booth, and just running over the wing with a tack cloth, getting any wee dust and nibs, and as per usual I've wet the floor to keep any dust on the floor down, and I'm just going over the bumper with a tack cloth and getting it all ready, and then I'll give everything a coat of white wet and wet primer, and then we'll go on with the coloured base coat. So we're doing this car in base coat because I was happy with the coverage of the base coat that I used on the sills, and I was happy with the colour match, so just going to go with the base coat and then a clear lacquer over the top. So here we are with that white wet and wet, just through the lacquer gun. I've actually got a separate gun just for wet and wet. And here's a funny thing, and comment in the comment section if you're in the know here, but I always seem to get almost like not a reaction, but I can almost see where I've panel wiped the bumper, and as I'm putting the wet and wet on, I can see where I've been wiping. So I back off here, and I decide to just do almost like a lighter coat rather than have it all sort of react up. My thinking is that other than a solvent degrease, I think I probably need to use a water degrease on plastic parts. So I'm going to look into that in the future, but I backed off with the wet and wet and just done a kind of dry coat, and you'll see I go back on with a heavier coat, and after that it's all fine. The front wing's fine, it doesn't react, but the bumper, I don't know whether it's a static thing or just cheap primer on the bumper or what it is that causes it, but it just kind of doesn't sit right with the first coat. So I've had it where it turned into a right mess, so I decided to back off painting this one, and I go back in with a sort of heavier coat, and that second heavier coat sits on fine, and we get away with it without any sort of rectification, which is, you don't want to be, at this stage you don't want to have to go back in and sand down some sort of reaction or whatever. So it was the right decision just to back off, give it a bit of time, and go in with that second coat of wet and wet, and you'll see there it's going on fine. There's a wee bit of reaction there on the front wing as well, which again I kind of back off from and go again, and it all works out fine in the end. But I don't know, maybe it was just a damp day, or maybe there was something on my cloth or on my hands, but it wasn't let's just say it wasn't a perfect wet and wet day. But we get through it, and here we are. We're on with the yellow base coat. Right away, I'm regretting this decision. I'm wondering if I should have went with direct gloss, because direct gloss always covers really much better than base coat, and you can see it's quite opaque, and I'm thinking this is going to take 3-4 coats of this yellow, whereas I'd be done in 2 or 3 coats of direct gloss. But we've started now. We're going to go with it, and it's only a bit of time and effort, and we'll get there in the end. The end result will be the same. So just laying on a nice even coat of that yellow base coat, even though it is quite opaque, and just making sure all the sort of edges and anywhere where you're going to see the colour, just making sure that it's covered with that yellow and it's all nice and even and looking good. So just take my time going over it. Again, at this point I usually say, or I usually ask, I appreciate you watching, taking the time to watch my videos. We're really quite chuffed with the response we've had, and if you could take the time, if you haven't done so already, to like and subscribe, because that makes a huge difference, and it makes it all sort of worthwhile. So just take the time, take 2 minutes now, like and subscribe, much appreciated, thank you. And then just catching all the inside edges of this swing, I always say, catch the inside edges first, don't leave anything. There's nothing worse than painting it and then noticing a bit you've missed. Focus on the bits that you don't see first, and then fill in the main bits. So just going over it with a nice even coat of yellow, the first coat. And again, as I said earlier, I'm regretting the coverage of this yellow. It's now dawning on me, I'm going to be here for a while coating this up. You know, you've got 15 minutes between coats, and then you've got 3, 4, 5 coats. You're into an hour of base coating, and then the time wetting. You could almost be a 2-hour session. And from memory, I'm painting this on a Saturday afternoon, and pretty much like yourself, I'm certain I've got better things to do than be sort of sitting on waiting on paint drying. So I'm wishing I had went with direct gloss at this stage, but listen, we'll go with it, and we'll get there in the end. It's going to be a long afternoon. Again, just putting that base coat on just that little bit heavier, and you can see the colour actually starting to take shape now. Even I think with what I'll be on second coat, and it is starting to turn closer to the colour it's meant to be. So maybe my worries are unfounded. So again, just laying on a nice even coat over the whole bumper. Try to remember where I've been, where I've not been. Just keep it all nice and even, nice and smooth. Spraying like a robot, catching all those edges. It's funny, but the head cam that I'm using really doesn't capture the colour very well, but I wouldn't for a second complain about the head cam, because it literally was like 50, 60 quid off Amazon, and I think it does a great job for the money. I didn't want to spend crazy money on a GoPro or something to get all covered in overspray, and usually when I buy things on Amazon they turn out to be junk, but this thing had good reviews, and it came with loads of accessories, and it even actually came with the head mount that I'm using just now, and I can forgive it for not being perfect on the colour. And by the way, neither's my phone. That this yellow is really quite hard to capture, especially in the booth. But you'll see when I come back in, once it's all painted using my phone, the colour looks far too bright than what it actually is in reality. It's not till the car's actually outside and it's all built up that you really appreciate the colour as it is. This colour's called ochre, incidentally. I think it's called fashionista yellow in the UK. Ochre is the translation in Italian, and I personally like to call it banana yellow, because to me it looks like a banana. So again, where I third, fourth coat of base coat here. Just try to get a nice even coat over the whole bumper. Starting to take shape. Again, no nibs, dirt runs, looking the part. This aftermarket bumper, the primer on it was actually really good. Sometimes you get them and they're all sort of scuffed and scratched and looking horrible, but the bumpers, it's a company I use in Glasgow, Direct Panels, and the quality of their panels is really good. I'm not sure where they get them. It's probably a company called Prasco, or so all made in the Far East. But these days, what isn't made in the Far East? But the quality, because I've been in this game a long time, and going back right into the sort of late 80s, early 90s, I can remember the quality of some of these aftermarket panels was absolutely woeful. Whereas now, I almost think they're all made in the same factory, and the quality is much better. I've actually had genuine bumpers that fit worse than the quality of these Direct Panels bumpers. They are really good. In fact, I've had genuine, just recently I done a Hyundai i40, and the bumper, it was an insurance job, and the bumper was close to £1,000, and when it arrived it was raw plastic, it had no primer on it. So that £1,000 bumper, first thing I had to do was prime it, because it was raw plastic. Absolutely crazy. So that's us now. We're on with the first coat of clear lacquer. So we'll go on now with 2 coats of clear. As I always say, first coat, you're not trying to break records, you're not looking for show winning, just a kind of even grip coat. Your first coat, if you put it on just that little bit drier, it lets you go that little bit heavier with the second coat, and the second coat grips to the first. If you put it on nice and wet and gone wet with the second coat, the chances are the second coat's going to run off the first coat. Trust me, always put your first coat on that bit drier and then go heavier with the second. It works for me anyway. I very rarely get a run. I've jinxed it now. Probably the next job will get a run, but it's something I very rarely get. Touch wood. So just putting the first coat of clear lacquer on that front wing. Again, catching all the edges first. Make sure you get all the edges. There's nothing worse than a dry edge. And you open the car door and you see that edge, or you're looking at the edge of the headlight and it's not shiny, or these are all things that give away the fact that you've repaired that car. So just take your time and catch all your edges first, and then fill in the main bit. So there's that first coat, looking good. And then on with a second coat onto the front bumper. Second and final coat, and you'll see I've slowed the gun down, and I'm just trying to get a nice even uniform coat over the whole bumper. And how this looks now is how it'll look once it's on the car. So use your eyes, have a good look, and make sure you're happy with it before you stop painting. But yeah, all starting to look nice and shiny, yellow, no darts, no nibs, no runs, looking the part, just catching all those edges round about the daytime running lights. And I don't know what happened there with the editing there. I think I might need to sack my editor, but we skipped a bit. And then here we are on with the final coat of lacquer onto the front wing. And then once that's done, we're done. We can go home, and the next stage will be assembling this little car and getting it all finished and ready for sale. Yeah, looking the part. And then just a little look in the in the booth then. This bit reminds me of, I don't know if you remember Only Fools and Horses, where Del Boy sells the local Chinese restaurant some yellow paint to paint their restaurant, and it turns out to be road line paint or road marking paint, and they cut to a scene when it's all done and the whole place is glowing yellow, and these guys are in the kitchen and they're totally blinded. Well, that's how I feel with this yellow. It's yellow everywhere, and it's so bright and almost blinds you. But I look in the part. If it's not for the sort of yellow dust all over me and all over the floor, I think it looks really good. And there's that much yellow dust that I think it took probably 5 coats of base coat to get this colour solid and looking the part. So as I say, maybe we should have done it in direct gloss, but hey ho, it's done now, it's looking shiny, there's not a lot of nibs or dirt in it, quite happy with it, and we'll get on now with putting the car together and finishing it off and making it a sellable item. So there I am, I've got the daytime running lights fitted, front grille, fog lights, a bit of the badge fitted, I've got that repaired headlight in there, I've got the front wing on, and you tell me, what do you think of that colour match? I don't think it looks too wild. There's a bit of glow coming off the ramp there, so it kind of draws your eye a wee bit, but genuinely, you'll see it outside, it's so close, and yellow is usually a nightmare colour to match, so I almost think I could blend onto that door and make it worse. So you'll see it outside, give me your opinion in the comments, but I think it's okay. There you go, the bumper to the bonnet's not been painted, the bumper has. It's not a million miles off, is it? That pillar's not been painted, the wing has. It's not a million miles off, and it matches the door. If you look at the door to the back quarter, and it's not been painted, it kind of looks off. So I'm relatively happy with that colour match. Probably going to go with it. So that's all built up. The bonnet's not fully closed at this point, by the way, and I had to bond the bit of grill on there because the lugs broke off it. So forgive me for that, but I'm not buying a new grill for the sake of a couple of silly lugs. And there's the figures. So the car was 2,110. You'll see all the different figures. Front bumper, offside wing, arch liner, chrome, washer bottle, daytime running light, the hub, MOT, although at this point it's not MOT, they're valeted. Put in 50 quid for paint materials. Car's due me roughly 2.6. If I were to get 3,995 for it, then there'd be £1,400 in it, roughly. And there's a final walk round of the car. As I say, it's not MOT'd at this point, but it's pretty much there. And you'll see there, bumper to bonnet, the match is pretty good. Bumper to wing, the match is going to be good because it's the same paint. And then wing to door, it looks a wee bit off shade there, but as you walk round, it looks bang on at that point. The sill looks good where I repaired it. The back quarter of the door looks a bit off, so it's one of those colours, and honestly, for the effort that would be involved in doing a colour blend onto that door, I don't think I'm going to bother. And I'm the world's fussiest person, so if I'm happy with it, then chances are most other people will be happy with it. And I think that car looks really good. The black roof with the cult wheels and all the optional extras. The fact it's diesel, 80 mile to the gallon, alloy wheels, aircon, parking sensors, looks the part. Listen, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Jack for editing, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much.